Hi, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Mimi's Musings podcast. I'm your host, Gungo Mildred, and I'm so happy that you have joined me on another Saturday for another episode. On today's episode, I want to talk about teachers. And my question is, what was their problem? I mean, all of us tumepitia shule, all of us tumefunzwa na walimu. All of us have experienced like teachers who were just nice and some who were just the worst. Like every one of us, I'm sure, no matter how old you are, you can look back and go like, yeah, I remember Mr. So-and-so from this and this class or from this and this form, and they were so nice, they were so good, and they are the ones who made me fall in love with this particular subject. And then you can also go like, yeah, I remember this teacher and they treated me like as if I was dirt. They beat me up, they insulted me, maybe they was just not good to me or to us as a group of students. Like you can remember such things and you can go like, yeah, that happened and it was because of this teacher. So from a young age, I don't remember my baby class teacher. I feel like her name was Teacher Linda, or Teacher Lydia rather, but I'm not sure. I really am not sure. I have to confirm with my grandma because my grandmother has one of the best, is it memories? Like she remembers things that happened to her like when she was still a girl and she's in her 70s now. But her memory is so good. She remembers things she learned in school and I can barely like even give introductions of some subjects that I did while I was in college. Like my grandmother has one of the best memories, and I pray to God that she continues being that way because I want her to live a very, 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 very long life. But then I just don't remember some of those things. So my teacher Lydia or teacher Linda from baby class, she was a good teacher. And I remember her because she used to help me cross the road when I was a baby. Because while I was in baby class, I was very tiny. I was the tiniest in the group of friends I had. And I think I was one of the tiniest in my class as well. But then, whenever we'll be coming from school, the group of friends that I had from home, they would run away because they were siblings or because they just were friendlier and stuff like that. So they would run and cross the road and then leave me behind. And so I would have to walk by myself on that side of the road until I get to my gate because the good thing is that it was like one way. So I would walk up to my gate and then from there, the askaris will see me and then they will come and help me cross the road. Or sometimes the teacher would help me cross and then I'll walk from that side and get home. I'm a friend from baby class in primary school. His name is Felix. He would also help me because he was way older than us. Like, I think he was 2, 3 years older than the rest of us. But then that was her. And I remember she tried. Her job was tough. Because remember, if you remember one of my previous episodes, I said that the first language that I ever spoke was Kamba. So imagine trying to teach a girl who's speaking like a language that is not hers, a beautiful Bantu language nonetheless, but it's not her language. But then you're trying to teach this girl how to speak English, how to speak Swahili, and I mean, she did a great job because the other kids, as I said, they were older. They moved to pre-unit before I did. So mimi nikalia, I cried. I remember crying. Maybe this is just a figment of my imagination, but I feel like that is what happened. Because I remember crying and begging my grandmother to take me to pre-unit as well. Because they had moved ahead of me and they went out wakajoin pre-unit, mi nikabaki baby class. Akinililia. I think I joined them either in second term of pre-unit and my third term of pre-unit, if my memory serves me right, because I feel like I remember that moment, but it may just be something I fabricated in my mind. I don't know. But I feel like I either joined them on second term or third term. Ama kama it was first term of pre-unit, it was a little bit later, because maybe my grandmother wanted me to repeat baby class or something. But then I went, I did pre-unit with everybody, and we all moved to class 1, which was very good. I love that. So I don't know kama si tulikuwa na PP1 na PP2 because Felix Summer was a class ahead of us. Na tulikuanga naye baby class. So I think ni hizo stories za PP1 na PP2 but I just didn't know. But yeah, Nikiingia pre-unit na the rest of the group, Felix was a class ahead of us, and that is how it was until we finished primary school. So this primary school, my teacher from pre-unit, Mrs. Kereka, one of the most amazing teachers ever. I remember her because when I finished class 8, I got an A minor in English and she was happy. Imagine from that kid, mwenye hakuwa anajua kuongea any other language apart from Kamba, and now I get to class 8 and I get an A minor in English. She was so ecstatic. I remember going for my results and she called me and she told me to thank her because she's the reason I got that A minor in English. And I couldn't even say no because it's true. Like, unajua wale walimu unasemanga tu, I wish I could become a millionaire or something like that so that I could just do something proper for them. That is one of the teachers I would. Because manza alingangana na mimi. Sikumbuki hiyo ya baby class, but I remember Mrs. Kereka. She tried. Hey, man. But she was so happy when I got that A minor. And in a way, that was just me saying thank you because of all the hard work she put in. Yeah. Alafu, moving on to class 1. Do I remember the teacher from class 1? Because I remember there was another teacher, Mrs. Nganga. But I don't know, she was from class 1 or class 2. I think tulikuwa ni class 2. So, kuna mwalimu hapo maybe sikumbuki. Because in primary school, wale walimu wa lower class, mnawachanga the class that they teach. And then from class 5, that's when you start moving with your teacher. So like in class 5, if you get a teacher, she moves with you. Ama kwanzia class 4 maybe. I think it's from class 4. You move with the teacher that you have. From class 4, you mnaenda next class 5. Like mkishaingia upper primary, our times, see your grade size, your system imewekwa, but our time. So I think like from class 4 going onwards, you have one teacher so that she or he is your class teacher from class 4, then you move with them to class 5, 6, 7, 8. Alafu mkishamaliza, then they're given another class maybe. But sisi, baby class, because, okay, pre-unit we had one teacher, then class 1 I don't remember the teacher, but I remember Mrs. Nganga in class 2. And nilisumbua mwalimu wake because my grandmother used to work, as I've said before, she used to work in theater in a hospital. So her working hours were crazy sometimes. So if she was on duty in the afternoon, that will mean that she will probably be on call at night. And that means that she'll maybe come home, just make dinner, we'll eat, and then she'll go back to work. And I won't see her until the next day when I come from school. Ama ningemwona asubuhi, but nile anaingia na mimi natoka nikienda shule. That's why parts of my childhood are very messy. Like, I'm not blaming her or anything, but I feel like that is a part of it. Because it was just, she was overworking. She was being overworked, let me say that. But now in school, Mrs. Nganga would be like, anatupea homework. Mimi kila mtu alikuwa anajua mimi ni mtoto wa koko. Like my grandmother in Maragoli, we say guku. But then as a kid, I wasn't saying guku, I was saying koko. And so I used to call my grandmother Koko. So everybody knew mimi ni mtoto wa Koko. Na ukinipea homework, the teachers, what do they say? Enda mzazi akufundishe. But mimi ni mtoto wa nani? Mtoto wa Koko. So it used to be enda Koko akufundishe homework. Mimi nikifika kwa nyumba, nyanyangu si hayuko, si yako job. Who do you think is going to teach me that homework? Nobody. But because mwalimu alisema mwende mfundishwe homework na wazazi, and in my case, endo fundishwe na Koko, mi sitafanya hiyo homework. Because mtu anafaa kunifundisha hayuko nyumbani. I will go back to school the next day, homework not done. And if the teacher asks me, I'm like, yeah, Koko hakuwa kwa nyumba, alikuwa job. So kufanya homework, yes. Nyanyangu itwe shule, akuje aulizwe, and she will be like, but nyinyi ndio mliambia mtoto nikuje kumfundisha homework. Mimi nawalipa mfundishe because back then you were still paying. Lakini nyinyi mnaniambia nikuje nimfundishe saa na mimi sikuwa. Unataka danganye? Oh my grandma. Oh my grandma. And Mrs. Nganga would just be like, what is this? So hizi ni gani jamani? Like seriously, what is this? But anyway, Mrs. Nganga alivumilia na mimi pia yeye. We, and she also taught my sister when she was in class 2, I think. Hey, manze, alipitia na sisi, but ni sawa. Ni life. Ni life. That's why up to now, I usually tell like parents, my friends who are parents, my relatives who are parents, I'm like, do not tell kids. Like whenever you're talking to a kid, make sure whatever you're telling them, they cannot say, I didn't do it because of the instructions that you gave me. Like being sarcastic with a kid nowadays is very, very expensive for the parent because unamwambia hey, nitoke nipate hizi vyombo bado ziko hapa kwa sink. You're trying to be sarcastic. Huyo mtoto anakusikiza na baki hata utaenda na urudi utapata hizo vyombo bado ziko kwa sink. And if you ask them, they'll tell you, what did you say before you left? Niende nipate hizi vyombo bado ziko kwa sink. Na ndio hizo umezipata ziko kwa sink. Utalaumu nani mzazi? So mimi, I know it may not be exactly the same thing, but the thing is, umeniambia nikaonyeshe homework na mtu fulani. Huyo mtu hayuko. So nani angenionyesha? Yeah, and either way, at that time it was just my grandmother and I for the most part. So nobody else would have shown me either way. So class 3 sisi in my time, we didn't soma. Class yetu yetu hatukufundishwa class 3 because our teacher was very, very sickly. So I don't know what disease she had, but it was a terminal one. Cause sisi class 3, aki if I get my papers za hizo time, na nilikuwa na 03 out of 40 because at the end of the term, lazima mpatiwe exams. So unapata niko na 04 out of 40, 05 out of 100, sijui nini out of 100. Like zilikuwa ma 0 something, ikenda sana ni 18 ama 20 at most. Out of 100 or out of 50, I don't know what. Like it was a crazy year for us. I don't know if my other classmates remember, but I remember we didn't study class 3. Teacher alikuwa in and out, in and out. Na vitabu zetu kuiba. My grandmother used to buy me these big coloring books. Like hizi za kuchora tu, like drawing and coloring. They used to be big. Ilikuwa lazima nikunjanishe ndo itoshe kwa bag. I don't know, maybe she had aspirations that I'll become an artist. And I can barely draw a cat. So I'm sorry for that, Shosh. But I don't know. She used to buy me these huge ones. And then zingeenda tu. Textbooks tu zinanunuliwa zipotee. That teacher alichukua kutumia kama ndo anatufundisha nazo, alafu sitawaiona tena. My grandmother thinks she used to sell them. I don't know. But because we never just saw them ever again. Nata vile alitoka azikwa kwa kabati or anything. So zilienda. But yeah, that was class 3. Tulipitishwa tu ile because they couldn't fail an entire class because of the teacher. So tukaenda class 4. In class 4, tukaletewa Mr. Oching. I think I've spoken about him in a previous episode. Mr. Oching was tall. Mr. Oching came in and he loved drama. Thanks to him nilijua kudance traditional dances. Thanks to him nilijua mambo na shahiri. Thanks to him tukaanza kubadilika. Huyu mwalimu alikuwa akikuwa on duty. Na kuambia mchelewe, aingie akwapo hivyo karibu na gate. There was this part near our gate. It's an entrance way. So alikuwa anakuja nasimama hapo. Kama mmechelewa bell isha ring, hapo ndo napiga magoti. And then anachapia hapo. Mr. Ocheng used to pinch you both sides of the cheeks. Alafu achilie slap. Bah! Thanks to Mr. Ocheng, nilijifunza kupaka Vaseline kwa uso kama sijui nini. Mimi uso wangu ilikuwangi na shine na Vaseline. Like after taking care of me, like doing my morning whatever in the morning, ningejipaka Vaseline kwa uso. Ile akichuna vidole zake zina slide tu. Alafu achilie kofi. Uombe shike tu uso. But because as I said, mikono zake ni kubwa and I was a kid, my face was tiny. I was a tiny kid. Akuweke kofi uombe tu isiguze masikio because we'll feel it nini ringing. Utaisikia ikiringa huko ndani ile hey. Paka unakuwa confused for a few seconds ndo uweze kutembea uende class. The other thing, our class now needed discipline. I remember that year tulipatiwa present as a whole class. Yeah, the most improved. But it was most improved because kumbuka class 3 yetu kusoma. So tulikuwa nyuma ya kila class, like average yetu ilikuwa the lowest in the entire school. And this is a school that wasn't performing so well. Ile overall class 8, they weren't performing like so well. So you can imagine kama sindo tumekuwa like the lowest. kwa the entire school na tayari shule mzima ifanye ati the best. But anyway, you don't blame it on the school. It's just ni situation like where we were and I don't know. There was just a lot of things going on. Mr. Ching, class prefect yetu alikuwa anaitwa John Kingo. John ndo alikuwa anaendanga na kifunguu ya class. So wakati ule ameenda na kifunguu, then the next day maybe we forgot to close the windows in the evening while we were going at home. Then John achelewe kukuja asubuhi. Like not be late. Nile ndio amekuja on time, but see we don't have enough time to do any damage control. So kama tumeacha madirisha open, alafu kunyeshe usiku tutapata maji imejaa ndani ya class. That means we have to clean this class. And if there is parade, we have to clean before going to the parade. And if not that, we have to clean before the teacher starts the first lesson. The first lesson ilikuanga zote zilikuwa za Mr. Cheng. Na hata kama si yake, hiyo ni class yake. So he has to start from there. Mr. Cheng angeingia class, tumengangana, tunafagia. So maboys wanapita na kifagio, madem tunapita na duster, alafu tupange desks, nini, ndio tukae, lessons zianze. This thing happened a couple of times. For it to be memorable, for me to still remember it, it didn't happen once. Mr. Cheng anakuja bado watu wanafagia. Aguze hiyo kifagio once. Askume tu hiyo maji ati anajaribu kutusaidia. Juu angesema leta kifagio. Afagie tu once hivyo kusukuma maji. Na kuambile viboko tutapigwa. We used to be beaten by Mr. Cheng hapo mbele. Like, ilikuwa ina depend vile anajisikia. Tunapelekwa pale mbele ya class. Tunasimama side moja. The whole class. Atuchape tukiende side ingine ya kabati. Ya mlango pia. Kabati na mlango zilikuwa the same side. Then akuja useda tutandike tukirudi side ingine. Lesson hiyo ya kwanza itakuwa like nusu yake ni viboko ama kuota yake. Then kwanza ilikuwa double lesson. Atutandike tena hiyo side tukirudi the other side. Hadi achoke. That was one. The other thing he will do kutuchapa ni tumekaa. So in class 4 we still had zile desk za ile desk inakuanga imeshikana na kiti. Ile inakuja yote mnakaa watu watatu. And they used to force us ati kama nini row ya kwanza iko ni wasichana wawili, kijana mmoja katikati. The next one vijana wawili, msichana mmoja katikati. Hivyo ndo mzoeane, like kuliko waseme tu you sit wherever you want, it will be girls sitting pamoja na vijana wanakaa pamoja. So they had to make us kama ni 2 boys 1 girl ama 2 girls 1 boy. Angekuja na kiboko bambu. Atutandike vile tumeka hivyo watatu. Achape kwa migongo. Ama kama ni haga malitanguka hiyo kiboko ndo itaanguka, but it was on our backs. Achape because this man had stamina kusema kweli. Angetandika the whole class afike paka desk ya mwisho tena arudi until he gets tired. I think that was the last year I ever cried nikipigwa mimi. Because class 4 tulichapwa paka I don't know, tears. Ilikuwa sio unachapwa tu umezoea. Hapo hivyo akuje, alikuwa teacher wa mathematics pia. Akuje hapo mbele. Leo ni multiple of 8. Mildred stand. Multiple of 8. Ile textbook ya mathematics ilikuanga na multiple table huko nyuma. Tulikuwa tumecram. Because Mr. Cheng angekuja class ya math, asimame pale mbele aite any person randomly. John, stand up. Give me the multiple for 7. Mildred, stand up. Give me the multiple for 4. Nani, stand up. Give me 4. Ivo, randomly. Ilikuwa multiple of whatever. Nani ivo, usimame useme. Ukishindwa. Ile kutatandikwa. Ati mefail exam for, uchapwe. As I said, class 4 tulitandikwa. Mwalimu ni kama aliambiwa kuja. We need a strong teacher for this class because they're lagging behind and we need somebody who can improve them. Tulipatiwa gift as a whole class for the most improved class in the entire school tukifunga shule. Because tulifundishwa, tulitandikwa. And I think he had a thing with another teacher called Mrs. Rachel. Mrs. Rachel alikuwa anatufundisha music. Hiyo time bado hazikuwa zimetolewa. Mrs. Rachel lesson yake ikifuatana na ya Mr. Uching. Mr. Uching atufundisha math, alafu bell ring, Mrs. Rachel ndo anaingia next. Mr. Uching atatoka after bell imering. Mrs. Rachel anataka by the time bell ina ring, tusimame tuanze kuimba national anthem. So you can imagine, Mr. Uching ana delay kiasi, alafu ndo atoke. By the time anatoka, mkwe one hamna sweta. Mrs. Rachel kwa anataka timvae sweta sa lesson yake. Ilikuwa, unatoa sweta, mkitoka break, toa hiyo sweta hiyo time. Juu, saya klasi ya Mr. Uching hawezi toa hiyo sweta. Na beli kiring Mr. Uching bado kwa class, Mrs. Rachel kwa hapo nje tayari, usijaribu kutoa kabla Mr. Uching atoke na Mrs. Rachel anapitania kwa mlango. Asikuone ukitoa hiyo sweta. Hiyo ni viboko. Wewe niambie walimu walikuwa wanatufikiria nini? Like, why would teachers do that to us? So it used to be, Mrs. Rachel is entering the class, Mr. Uching is leaving, but you have had to have removed your sweater kitambo tena sana. Because why removing it during my time? Hizo ni viboko from both Mr. Uching and Mrs. Rachel. So the only thing she would allow us ni Mr. Uching atoke, uweke kitabu kando, uchukue ya nini, ya music na usimame uanze kuimba national anthem. But ati kutoa sweater during the either time, zenye wanatoka class mwingine akiingia. Si tulipigwa class 4 almost for nonsensical reasons sometimes. Like I get it kama tumefail exam. I get it kupanishiwa kama nimechelewa. But kuna vitu zingine, it was just like, why are you beating me like this? Naikuwa vita kidogo, ilikuwa vita ingine wazimu. Anyway, we made it out of class 4 alive, got to class 5. Class 5 now we were introduced to a new class teacher, Mrs. Karanja. This woman, I appreciate her, but also a part of me, I don't want to say hate. My therapist told me to be saying that word, like to say hate. If that's what I feel, I should say it. But for me, I feel like it's such a strong word for me to use. I don't like using it. But even if I don't like using it, there's a time in my life I hated her truly. I just never forgive her for what she did to me. So Mrs. Karanja joins us in class 5. And she starts teaching us GHC and English. But then she's also a class teacher. I loved her because she was teaching me English. I've always loved English. I've always loved literature. So even at such a young age, I loved it. And because remember, from a previous episode of Childhood Memories, I remember saying like, I started writing as a kid. I loved writing poetry. I loved writing stories from a very young age, even before this time. But also during this time, I was also writing and I just loved English. Let me say that. So she became not my favorite, because back then I didn't even know like a favorite and stuff. I don't know, but I just loved her because she taught me English. So Mrs. Karanja takes over. She's not as bad as Mr. Ching when it comes to the beating. Anatupika tukifail. But si kila saa kama Mr. Ching. Yake si kutupiga tujutumacha dirisha open ama vitu kama hizo, no. Ilikuwa tu ile umekosa, like she will beat you and you will know that nimefanya kitu yenye inahitaji kupigwa. But then we had this teacher, I don't remember her name. She was teaching us science and agriculture. This Mrs. She will come to class and atupatia, unaona ile kitabu ya learning science and agriculture. We used to write the notes word for word on the blackboard. So it was me and another lady called Monica Talo. Monica and I tulikuanga niyo textbook ya learning science and agriculture. So because we have the textbooks, tungekuwa tunapatiwa chalks tuandikie the other people, the rest of the class kwa blackboard. Remember, I was short. So malintanzia hiyo nini kuandika, it doesn't matter, but I would. Sometimes I'll be on top of a chair, tunaandika, na yeye aende hapo mbele alale. Now, hii kitabu tuliplagiarize because what is supposed to happen, a teacher is supposed to go through her coursework, atengeneze hizi notes kulingana na njia yake, alafu atufundishe. But angekuja tungeandika kwa blackboard, tuandike hizo notes, alafu azipitie, akisoma ni kama ni novel. The rest of the time while we are writing, she's asleep. Hapo mbele. And then watu anze kumake noise, ainue kichwa from her slumber. Who is that who is making noise? Come here. Uende akuchune cheek aweke kofi. Go sit down. Ukae chini. Tena alale asikie makelele yanatokea mahali fulani. Who is that who is making noise? Come here. That's how she used to speak. I don't even remember her name. But I remember she used to teach us science and agriculture. That is what she used to do. I think she was pregnant and she was sleeping because she was tired. But, I mean, why? Why? And yes, tumefundishwa na walimu wa vituko. And then class 5 didn't have a lot of things going on. It was sort of zen apart from those two teachers. Alafu pia the others because kuchelewa nini, all the drama, blah, blah, blah. Class 6, bado Mrs. Karanja. But then another teacher comes in. Anapatiwa the next class 7. This is Mrs. What was her name? She had a Luo name. So two teachers joined. Mrs. Dulo, who took class, because now we're in class 6, Mrs. Dulo took class 5. And then, what is the name of this lady? It was a Luo name. It starts with an O. I've forgotten it. But I have a photo in my album that we took with her. And I remember Mrs. Dulo, Mrs. Karanja, and I don't remember her name. They become friends. And so they're always, kama tu kuna group school events nini, ama going to the staff room, blah, 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 wapata pamoja. Because Mrs. Dulo was teaching mathematics. I think the other teacher was teaching also English, if I'm not mistaken. So they were sort of in the same department with Mrs. Karanja, but then they were just friends. I don't know. So anyway, she joins and she goes to class 7, Mrs. Dulo class 5, and Mrs. Karanja, she's still with us in class 6. Wanakuwa friends. Nothing really happens. They punish the same way. Kuko tu hivyo nini. I get to class 7. Mr. Kibaki is the president and he announces free primary school education for all children. Tuko shule. Mrs. Karanja, she's our class teacher. Ametoka kufundisha GHC. Alafu ametufundisha English. Ametupatia homework. Alafu, she tells us, okay, so it was like English lesson and then GHC. So they were next to each other. So we do English. She teaches us English and then she gives us an assignment for English. And then the next lesson comes in, it's GHC. The bell rings, the next subject comes. She tells us to take our exercise books out or textbooks and we start reading our notes. And then Mrs. Dulo walks in. And they sit at the front and they're like, anytime is tea time. These are teachers because kumeannouncewa free primary education, now they don't feel like they have to teach us. Because I think their salaries were affected or something, I don't know. But they are like, they don't have to teach us. So they sit down and they start taking tea. This means class 6 at that time, hawana teacher. Teacher wao amekuja kukaa kwa class yetu kukunywa chai na bishte yake. And then mi najiambia, because anatufundisha both subjects, I know it was stupid of me to think this way, but I was a kid. I was 12 years old. So I tell myself, because she teaches us both subjects, she wouldn't mind me doing my English assignment right now. So I take my English book and I start writing. Mrs. Karanja sees me and she asks me, what are you doing? I tell her I'm doing my English assignment. And then she flips out. She tells me to put the book away. And as I go to put it away, she comes to where I'm sat and she starts beating the hell out of me. And I'm like, what is happening? Yani sijui ilikuwa kofi, ilikuwa ni kwa mgongo, ilikuwa nini. She beat me up like how you beat up a mwizi umempata kwa barabara, like mob justice. That's how she beat me up. Like all the frustrations of Mr. Kibaki zimeletewa mimi. That lady beat me up, and this is why I said I will never forgive her. Because while she was doing this, she was saying some very, very nasty things. And one of them was like, ndio sababu nyanyako anakuja na complain vile unamfanyia mabaya. Uwe ni mtoto kichwa ngumu paka nyanyako ana complain. And I was like, this beating, I'm getting it because my grandmother came to complain about me in school. I've asked her about it several times, by the way, and she has always denied it. My grandmother says she didn't. I feel like I know who might have said something. Because if my grandmother says it wasn't her, kulikuwa hapo na opening day ilikuwa hapo karibu mahali, parents had come to school and it wasn't my grandmother who had come. So I feel like I know who had and who said such things about me to the teacher. But anyway, hiyo ni story ya siku ingine. So this teacher beats me up saying all these things. And now I'm like, if I can't trust even my grandmother, who can I trust? Like, how could my grandmother come and talk about me to my teachers in a bad way? Like, how could she? And so this woman beats me up and she pulls me from my chair and she throws me outside and I kneel up in class. So I kneel and I'm crying because a lot of things are going on in my head. I was traumatized by this moment, by the way. A lot of things are going on in my mind because I'm like, why will she say the things that she has just said to me? Why will she beat me up like that? Like, mtu upigwa na kiboko. Not kunipiga ni kama sijui mimi ni mwizi. Like, she was using her hands, hitting me wherever her hands could land. So, belly a break in a ring and people starts coming out of their classes going for break. So kila mtu wa class yetu anatoka kiniambia akipole, akipole, akipole. And if you have ever been in such a situation, you know that the more people tell you akipole, the more you get pissed, the more you feel like crying. So break inaisha, bell ina ring, watu wanarudi class, alafu it's a new subject now. Mr. Momita, one of my favorite teachers from primary school, alikuwa anatufundisha Kiswahili. So he comes because that was the next lesson and he finds me outside there and he asks me why I'm outside. And I tell him and he goes and talks to the teacher and I'm allowed to get into class. And I was never asked to kneel down again. But I just thank him for that because I don't know what he said, Amanini, but the way that woman treated me, and I know she's my teacher, she was my teacher, but I'll call her that. I didn't, like, out of nowhere. Because I remember going home and asking my grandmother, did you come to school and complain about me to the teacher? And she was like, no, I didn't do anything like that. And I tell her the things that teacher was saying, and she's like, how could I even go and say such things? And that's why I'm saying I feel like I know who did. But either way, they were lies, and this teacher took it personally, and she was punishing me as if she was punishing me on behalf of my grandma, which was wrong, no matter how you look at it. Anyway, while in class 7, a couple of months, Mrs. Okello, that teacher, her name was Mrs. Okello. I'm in class 7, she's a teacher in class 8, she's the class teacher for class 8, and one day she was on duty, and I don't know what happened. Okay, yeah, I remember. So, me, I was a rude kid. As I said previously, I changed right in front of people's eyes, but they just never noticed. They were assuming that I was just being rude, but things were happening to me. In class 7, Mrs. Karanja was on duty, but then she had to leave and go somewhere, I don't remember where, and so Mrs. Okello took over for her. So what used to happen is that if your class teacher is on duty, the entire class is on duty. You're the ones who are going to entertain people at the parade because you would sing a song and maybe pray with the people, I don't know, things like that, and will be in charge of the cleaning of the school. So we were supposed to be doing this. Nini mnakanikanya wote ni mapiri class yenyu while your teacher is on duty. And so there was this kid in class 3. I don't know what she had done. But then she was talking back at me and she was insulting me. I slapped her. Juu mimi by this sikuanga na hiyo mchezo. Like unaniongelesha vibaya, I'll beat you up. I fought with Esther. I almost fought with the sister. Like me, a lot of things were happening to me as a kid. I was going through a lot that nobody knew. So I was taking out on whoever would cross me. So this kid said something and I slapped her. And then I went back to my class. Mrs. Akello, being the one who's filling in for Mrs. Karanja, she gets told because the kids were like, tutakushtaki. Nazile simseme, kwani atanifanyia kiboko tu. So akaenda akaambia Mrs. Okello. Mrs. Okello comes and calls me, who is Mildred? And I said, it's me. She tells me, come. She takes me to her class in class 8 to go and punish me in front of the whole class. She tells me to kneel and I kneel. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, oh, ujui. Ukijua hii class mzima inajua vile mupigana. Like I used to fight with this girl called Esther and I just didn't care. Alikuwa ananitrigger with the smallest of things and we would fight. I remember we talked about it a couple of years back on Facebook and we were like, why were we even fighting? Because right now I don't even remember. Ilikuwa tu ile, wewe utaona saa ya kwenda home 110. Tulikuwa tunasemanga 110 lakini ilikuwa ni 110 or something. Oh my God. So she lets me kneel in front of the class. Ilikuwa hii period ya after lunch. So from around I think 1:30 to 2 before the lessons began, we used to have like a free period during that time. So she makes me kneel during that period in her class. Alafu just before the bell rings for the next lesson begins, she tells me nisimame. Then actually nilisimama mali nipiga kani nimepiga magoti. I don't remember. I think nilisimama. I think she told me to stand up. Akaniambia nimpe mkono. Kumbuka ile viboko tulipigwa class 4. Me by this time I had been beaten like I didn't care. Tulipigwa paka tukakuwa marui. There's a reason why they say do not cane your kids every time. Saa zingine muongeleshe tu. Soft parenting also helps. Because ukipiga mtoto kila saa atakuwa kichwa ngumu, atazoea kiboko na anajua atafanya si kunipiga tu then I move on. Si tulitandikwa paka tulikuwa tumefika mali we didn't care. Niambie nilale chini, I will. Nikisimama napanguza nguo natoka naenda. You tell me to give you your hand, I'll give you my hand, and then you do whatever you want to do, and then I walk away. So this day she tells me to give her my hand, and I do. Akachapa. Ananiambia ni count. Nikamwangalia, nilimtoshanisha by the way. And she was way taller than me. Nilimtoshanisha, nikabaki, I'm not counting while you're beating me. Like in my head, I was like, I'm not counting while you're beating me. But then I have this face that whatever I'm saying in my mind, it will show on my face. So aliona. Akachapa paka zikafika 10. Alafu, because me used to give my left hand, ukitaka kunichapa, not my right, because I'm going to be writing with my right hand. So nikampatia mkono ya left, akapiga. When she was done, nikafunika mkono, and then I was like, okay, can I please go? Ama sijui nilisema, I think I said something to that effect. She got livid. She got so upset. She was like, ati? Yani nakupiga na hata ufanyi kitu? Hata ulia hata usemi ticha acha? Unataka kupigana na mimi? Unataka kupigana na mimi? She went and told Mrs. Karanja and Mrs. Dulo that I wanted to fight her. The next time my grandmother came to school, she was told that your granddaughter wanted to fight with the teacher. My grandmother anaangalia teacher mwenye anataka kupigana because Mrs. Okelo alikuwa mrefu na mwili. So mimi nukiniona nikamtuini kawanjibika na kasijua je. Because anyway, hey, I don't know. I was going through a lot as I said. Mimi nilikuwa nimeisha na mtu anasema tenta kupigana naye unamwangalia unabaki ningepigana naye aje. All because sikulia, sikutoa mkono akipiga moja natoa, akipiga ingine natoa. Nilimwekea akapiga zake 10 akamaliza nikamwambia is it okay if I leave or something like that. And she was upset because I did not cry. So I just looked at her. Ama unataka niongeze zingine? Nikatoa mkono yangu na nika was like my face was like, why? Toka enda. The rest of the class started laughing. The class started laughing. Akawangalia, ati mnacheka nini? And then they stopped. Because it's like, mi utanifanyia madhara. Because why? That kid insulted me. I slapped her because she insulted me. And I know it was wrong. I know. But at that time, I thought I had the right to. So anyway, that is what happened. And the teacher started saying that I wanted to beat her up, which was very, very funny because hata sijui ingefanyika aje. But anyway, kama CEO, they started teaching us about sexual education. And this one brought out new things. Because tell me why these teachers was teaching us about sexual education by threatening us. I remember I was punished. From a previous episode, I told you about my first boyfriend, my primary school boyfriend, who never did anything other than hug. This boy, we were the same age, I think. And kuna siku tu moja tukitoka shule, hapo nje ya gate while we were walking, because it used to be a hill. Kufika hapo juu, I'm taking the left side, he's taking the right. We just hugged ile abai and then we left. My friends were there, we went home. The next day tumetu ofisi nampata amenil. Class teacher wake nani? Mrs. Dulo. Mimi class teacher wangu nani? Mrs. Karanja. Tumepigishwa magoti staff room. Tunateteshwa, why are we hugging each other? Don't you know that you could get pregnant? And I'm like, it was a hug. Like this, hey. These teachers used to give us trauma for no reason. Because tell me why you are threatening me about getting pregnant because I hugged a boy. I mean, we were raised in such a weird way, millennials. Like, hugging your dad is wrong. Hugging your mom inakufanya unakuwa lazy, or I don't know, you feel like you're too pampered or too loved or something. Hugging your male cousins or brothers or friends is a sin. I don't know why teachers used to do that to us. Because these teachers, aki waliongea. Na wakasema so tuona pamoja. Basi ni akina nani used to go to the same church. So, yeah. The joke was on them. But anyway, that was just weird. Na kutu threaten to class wanakuja wanaongea because about like teaching us sexual education but by threatening us. But in some ways they helped because Mrs. Karanja used to tell us like, msichana, if you get pregnant, you will lose out on school while the boy will continue going to school. And especially if the family says no to that child. Wewe utaendelea, and if you abort, you're already putting yourself in trouble, because imagine starting to abort while you are 12, 13. Surely. Hiyo ni maisha gani umejieka ndani? So, anyway, I do not judge people, to each their own, but like in some ways they taught us, but in some ways I felt like they were so judgy in the way they taught us. But anyway, I finished primary school. I get my A minor in English. My teacher from pre-unit is very, very happy, Mrs. Kereka, and I love that for her and for me as well. And then I go to high school. Huko ndo sasa situations zingine zinakuja, unabaki, okay, what is this? I remember kuchapa, tukuno teacher kwa namuita Academo. He's late now, may he continue resting in peace. Tulikuwa tunamuita Academo because he was the academic master, but then he became the deputy principal. This man, I don't even remember his real name, by the way. Yuko tumezoea tukumuita Academo, and he knew that's what we used to call him. But he had a name, I've forgotten it. Alinitandika form 1. Nimeingia form 1 first week on Friday, ilikuwa games. Tuliambiwa mkienda class on Friday, mbebe games kits zenyu. But then mimi sijui nilibeba tu bluma na nikabeba rapa, sikubeba t-shirt. Ama sikuwa nimepatiwa t-shirt bado ya shule. I don't know, because sikuwa na t-shirt, nilikuwa na like my blouse. Alafu viatu, sikuwa nimebeba rubbers. I do not know why. I had slippers. I don't know what was happening. Because I think nilienda shule na rubbers. Rubbers nilibewa nikienda nazo za white. Lakini I don't know why I didn't put them on, ama why I didn't carry them to class. So, saya bell imering ya classes zimeisha, tukwenda mna change mbio mbio, mkue filled with this during 10 minutes. Tukachelewa mimi na my friend in form 1, Cecilia. Tulitandikwa. The last time nimepigwa primary, nimekuja kukaribishwa high school na viboko na Mr. Academo. I was beaten. Ile unalala kwa umevaa bluma. Like, unaimagine bluma na rapa. Alafu umelalishwa chini kwa mchangwa. Unatandikwa viboko na bambua, malikuwa paper, mata sikumbuki ilikuwa ni alitupiga nayo. But I remember telling myself that is the first and last time I'll ever be beaten like that in that school. Nimepigwa primary school, sitapigwa tena high school. And true, that was the first and last time I was beaten like that for a long time. Because zingine ilikuwa tule ya mkono, umefail exam, umefanya nini, umepatikana for nini, mkifanya mistake flani, in a particular mistake and stuff like that. But it was never something serious. But then Mr. Academo beat us up, nikajiambia mimi nijikute kwa shida ingine kama hii. Never. And I never did something like that ever again. But then in high school, the teachers there were just different. It's not just the beating, it's also the way they used to talk to us. Kuna zile punishments wenda wazimu, zenye atumechelewa kukuja, umepatikana ukilala dome, ubebe mattress. I never got that punishment. Ubebe mattress, we used to call it celebration square. Uende kwa celebration square, uvae a full uniform, this is plus the sweater, alafu ujifunike blanketi na bed cover, na ulale hapo kwa mattress yako. Na jua inawaka. Now as an adult, I look back to that moment and I'm like, hata nilisikia kina Jugusha akiongea about these things. Jugusha and his wife on their podcast. Inaitwa by the way. And they were saying like, hawakuwa wanaona mtu anaweza die akijifunika hivyo. Because kumbuka kuna jua inawaka. Na umelala hapo umejifunikiza vitu zote na umevaa pia sweater. Like umejifunike paka kichwa. How are we surviving these things? I remember seeing girls wamelalishwa hapo na mattresses. Wanalala hapo ati punishment. Kupanishiwa kuosha corridors. Mimi nilipanishiwa form 1. But mtu alinipanish ilikuwa assistant head girl. Mimi na Aziza. Tulipanishwa because watoto wa Nairobi tulikuwa tukaanza kumake noise ama sijui tulifanya nini. Mimi na Aziza tukapanishwa, nikajiambia nijikute tena. Basi wakanionea, wakanipatia duty ya kuoshanga dining hall. Like ukipatiwa duty ya kuosha dining hall was the worst at that time because iko imerepairwa chini, it hadn't been repaired. It was very rough. If you're told to wash the dining, because we used to do our own cleaning in our school. The best place to be told to clean was the classrooms ama upatiwe ya dome, because a dome was the best. Dome and then classroom. Dining hall at that time was the worst. Corridor following closely because corridor unapanguza watu wakipita. So you can just imagine. But anyway, teachers in high school, they weren't so bad. But I remember my class teacher, Mr. Ominde. Form 1, I think I've said this story before. There was these two girls, Doti and Faith. Hawa watoto ni wa Luanda. Na niliambiwa kitambo tena sana, watoto wamesomea ushago, they're worse than watoto wa Nairobi. These two girls walikuwa na zile vitabu, zinaitwanga auto books. Zile mkimaliza shule, you start writing and signing things. And the things they had written on those books of theirs, they were very nasty. I don't remember if you remember how people used to do, wanaandika Tusker, Tusker, alafu wanaanza kuandika T stands for this, U stands for this, blah, 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 hivyo. Pilsner, P stands for this, I stands for this. They had written that. Na zilikuwanga tabia mbaya tena sana. I had a book. From a previous episode, I said, I wrote my first story, like my whole novel, while I was in Form 2. But I had started it while I was in class 8. I tried to continue in Form 1, but then my teacher took that book. This is the time that he took it. So, Doti walipatikana kwa mistake. They had seen my book. But my book, what I had written, Nimbele, I had written this story about the second meeting. And I had explained to them why I was writing it. Because of course, my primary school boyfriend, in quotes. And I was writing about how I think like we would meet. And then at the back, I had written 2 songs by Necessary Noise. Me, the way I learn music is weird because neza skiza song, within a day, I will know like half or the whole song, the entire lyrics. But my education vitu zingine ndo zinakuwa ngumu. But music, I listen to it and I fall in love with the beats and everything. The way I consume music is different. I don't know. I just love music. And so the way I consume it is different. And so these songs, I would sing it from my head. Alafu kumbuka back in the day, gazeti, zilikuwa tunaekanga lyrics. Like, they were good times. So I had written these songs from my mind. Because nilikuwa nimekaa tu nikaziandika huko nyuma while joining Form 1. So that book haikuwa na anything bad, anything tabia mbaya, or anything of the sort. If anything, if this teacher had understood what I had written, because he was my literature teacher, he was my English teacher, he should have given me more, like morale to continue writing. He would have even helped me write a book. Maybe I would have been published kitambo tena sana. But instead of doing that, alichukua and I just think he threw it away. Alafu akaanza kututhreaten. Believe you me, for a whole week, this teacher would call us. Hiyo period, tena pia high school ilikuwa after lunch. So between 1:30 and 2, hiyo period, anatuita staff room, tukapige magoti. Ama kwa ofisi ya, humanities ya languages, ya English, tukapige magoti sisi watatu. Then, preps, tumetoka sapa, tena, tuende tupige magoti. Until ajisikie ndo tuende class. So you're cutting into my time for my prep. Na hiyo time after dinner, ndo time yenye bado akili iko fresh, unaweza soma, unaweza fanya 1, 2, 3. Alafu ndio baadaye usingizi kianza, then unaweza fanya homework. Ndo at least akili bado iko occupied because you're busy. Miss Mominde alituita stuff from every single day for a whole week, telling us the same thing. And I'm like, my book is not the same as theirs. Mine had this. Hizo wimbo. And I'm like, your song, atoka chukua, I still can write it from my mind. Like I can sing it from start to finish. It's imprinted in my mind. So you taking the book is not doing anything for me. Saturday comes and this teacher calls us. Tunakuja kuitwa kwa dom. Tumefanya cleaning, tumefua manguo nini, nimevaa skati ya form 4 ni kubwa kama sijui nini, ama ilikuwa bado yangu but hiyo ingine. Juu ilikuwa bado kubwa, by then sikuwa nimejua kutrim. and shati yenye ina badge na maslippers. Tumeitwa staff room. Nani ndo alikuja kuniita, I think Faith. Tukaenda staff room. Getting to the staff room, Mr. Omide sat there and is threatening us. Kwanza he tells us to kneel down and I'm like, okay. But today is the last day. Because me, I have patience, by the way. Even when I was a kid, I've always had patience with people. But then you can only push me too far before I erupt with you. So, ametupigisha magoti nikajiambia, aki, mimi sipigi magoti staff from tena next week. I told myself that while I was kneeling there. And I was like, whatever happens, I'm going to tell him off today. Then he starts threatening us again. And then he tells us, oh, you have been suspended. So we are just waiting for the deputy principal to come. And then she is going to give us, at that time it was still a lady, she's going to give us the nini. Actually, I think it was always a lady. Akademo alibaki to academic master. I don't think he was ever the deputy principal. Yeah, I don't think so. But either way, yeah, because I think he was just always the academic master. Sorry. Going back. So we are told we are waiting for her. She's going to come and give you the leave-out sheets because she's always to give them out. And you're like, okay. And so Faith na Doti ni watoto wa mabishops wako hapo wameplead aki babangu nini aki tafadhali. We are in form 1. This is form 1 first time. Imagine tutaka kususpendiwa because of something so stupid. And tafadhali aki teacher, please don't do this to us, please, I'm sorry, I will never do it again. Mi namwangalia tu because I'm like, I'm not begging. What am I begging for? You've been punishing me for an entire week, making me kneel in the staff room for what? Because I knew I was on the right. Like, I do not like being punished when I'm on the right or when I believe I'm on the right. If I'm on the wrong, but then tachukua tu niseme, okay, pole, forgive me. But I'm on the right. You're punishing me for what? So I'm like, okay. Amebega akatuambia, okay, go to the dormitories, take your things, and then come back. The leave-out sheets will be ready. Mi nilisimama nikatoka. And because ulikuwa unatoka hiyo corridor, then you walk to another corridor, alafu unakuja unapita the long corridor. Hiyo long corridor ni corridor hii staff room, then home science room, alafu hapo ulikuwa na stairs, then unaenda kwa dorms. Nilipita, ananionea kwa hiyo dirisha akiniangalia, amefungua mdomo like, he thought he was going to threaten us na alikuwa anataka tuendelee kubeg. So these girls are there like, oh, sorry, aki teacher, please, wananiita like nilirudi tujitetee. I'm like, I'm not going to do this. Nilitambia karibu nifike dom, ameitumana one of them, wamekuja wote, ananiambia anasema urudi, kuja tu. Nikaanza sasa, yani wewe you cannot say you are sorry. Nikamwambia sorry for what? I have not done something wrong. I told you, my book is not the same as theirs. Where is the book? Can I see it? I can show you. Because if it's about the songs, I told you, I can sing them from memory. And they're not bad songs. So he's like, okay, go and then never do this again. I'm going to forgive you this time. I'll talk to the deputy principal, and then never do this again. And so I can feel like, oh, thank you. We promise we'll never do it again. I was like, okay, whatever. I was walking out. But you cannot say thank you. Come, you've been punishing me for an entire week. And I was looking at him straight in the face. I wish ungeniona vile nilikuwa natoshana nikiwa form 1. Tiny. And this man is tall. He used to play basketball. Hey, na mimi niko hapa ati nimekunja uso namwambia for what? Anyway, pia yeye, just like Mrs. Okello, he started telling people that I wanted to fight him while I was in Form 1. He said that thing until I finished high school because he was my class teacher, he was my English teacher, and he was also the teacher who is in charge of my dormitory. So you can imagine. Anyway, we became good friends by the time I was leaving. I loved English, as I said. He was my favorite teacher in high school. But, that was a really rough time. But yake ilikuwa tu ile kutu rough up kiasi. Because being our class teacher, whenever we will fail an exam, angetuchapa. Ama kuja tu class atuambie, nimemiss kuwachapa. Tuweke mikono nje, apite akitupiga. Aende asikie vizuri. We will just do it. By the time we were leaving, we used to call him dad and everything. So he was okay. But for that time, nilibaki like, why? Also, he messed up, because angenionyesha, maybe I would have been an author by now, an established author by now. But anyway, that was Mr. Ominde, but he was a good teacher anyway. Overall, he was a good teacher, at least to me and my class. So maybe because every other student has their own experience, and I wouldn't want to take that away from them. But to me, he was a good teacher. I can say that. But then other teachers in high school, kuna mwenye alikuwa anatufundisha chemistry. This teacher used to call us madogi. Cheki vile mnakaa tu mantinyita, mnakaa tu madogi, cheki vile mnaniangalia, hamnyiti kitu. And it's a woman, she had base. Like alikuwa anatutusi because we couldn't understand anything in chemistry. And the thing is this, what teachers do not understand is the teachers who are loved by the students usually pass their subject more. But this one who used to insult us, nobody used to understand. Like, ni wale tu watu machopi tu naturally ndo alikuwa na understand kile anafundisha. But then we complained about her to the principal and she was given a suspension for, I think, 2 weeks ama ilikuwa a week. Alafu two other teachers wa vituko. Mr. Otano. Mr. Otano, or Mr. O5, as he was commonly referred by the students, was a biology teacher. I was a prefect in Form 2. Mr. Ominde made sure I was a prefect because after kusema karibu ni mchape, he was like, mtoto vile yuko ni kama atakuja kutandika mwalimu ama the other students at some point in this school. So the best thing to calm her down is making her a prefect. And so even though I didn't campaign, I was not even, like, mi hata kilengu ilikuwa inaniambia nitakuwa prefect in that school. Aka make sure nimekuwa prefect. And so I was the dome captain for the dome that he was manning. And so being a prefect ilinizuia bedhe vitu mingi, so thank you Mr. Ominde. But they're teachers, just like students or people right now, they're people who are traumatized by their prefects in their schools, and so they carry it in their lives. Mr. Otano was unfortunately, one of those teachers who carried that hate, that pain from his time in school, that trauma. So one time we used to have this girl who used to pee. And I don't know if I've said this story before. I feel like I've recorded it before. I don't know. There's this lady who used to pee on her bed. And it was so bad that she did it every single night. I won't say her name, but she was very, very clever, I think. But she used to pee every single night. In the morning, tukianza Form 1, she was in our stream. Okay, like she was in the same class, Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, Form 4. Tulikuwa ni the same class ama alikuwa blue. Na mimi nilikuwa red. I think she was in blue and I was in red. Because I don't think we're in the same stream. Yeah. I think she was in blue and I was in red. So, she used to pee every single night. Alafu, at first hakuwa anapelekanga mattress nje. So, atapee, amke, aspread kitanda yake vizuri, na aende. So, watu wa kuosha dome wana complain, hiyo area yao kunanuka mkojo. Kwa floor wanapata maji. Ama wale, actually, kuna wenye walikuwa wanaekanga maji chini ya kitanda yake. Unajua usiku ukilala unataka kuweka maji yako chini ya kitanda, ndo uamke tu ukitoa ukienda. So imagine alikuwa juu ya mkojo ikiingia kwa maji yako. Unaenda unaoga uso unabaki, ai, mbona hii maji ina taste, hiyo inanuka. But that's what used to happen. But then ndo akakuja kurealize, she pees. So by then I wasn't yet the prefect. So the prefect was then the dome captain. Alikuwa anaanza kumlazimisha akaanike. Irish was her name. So anaenda na anika, jioni anakataa kutoa, anaona aibu. So anakuja kutoa usiku kama kuna giza, ndio watu wasimu notice. I was like, aibu ni ya nini? Anyway. So, this happens Form 1, Form 2, third time I become a prefect. It doesn't go so well. I think I'll tell this story some other time. Traumas za shule. But yeah, then when I come back in Form 3, now the people who are traumatizing me during that third time, they're no longer there. But now I'm the one who's the only dome captain. So I make sure every day anapeleka mattress nje, and then in the evening I have to, after dinner, I used to have to follow this lady to go and remove that mattress, especially when it was raining. When it wasn't raining or rainy season, I would let it go. But then during rainy seasons, I would force her to go and remove it. Why? Because she would put it out, mvua inyeshe, awache inyeshewe, and then usiku tukikuja dome, anaenda nichukua na kuja nalalia. Now, I know there are many responsibilities for a dome captain, but for me, one of them was take care of the girls who are under your care. Me asking her to take the mattress out of the rain is me taking care of her. But alikuwa anachukula ni kama punishment or something, I don't know. She just didn't like it. So ilikuwa inabidi time ya mvua kama tumemaza kukula, nitafutane na yeye, nimwambie twende, atoe, aiweke, then twende class. But one day, Mr. Otano was on duty. Bell ikaring kama ninatafuta udemu. So tumechelewa, bell imering, nafai tupatika tuko class, but bado tuko kwa side za dome. Nikamwambia itoe tafadhali iweke kwa bafu because walikuwa ni hang mahali kwa walls za bafu, then utakuja kuchukua usiku. Nikamwambia atoe, tukaenda tukatoa. While anaipeleka, Mr. Otano finds us. And he's like, mnafanya nini huku? And then he saw my tie because prefects we had stripped ties. Akaona tie yangu. Prefect. Nyinyi mliambiwa kwa sababu nyinyi mna prefect, mnaweza fanya kile mnataka. Why are you still outside na belly sharing? What are you doing? He started talking nonsense, a lot of it, by the way. And so the lady who I was helping, she throws me under the bus. And she says I'm the one who forced her to be out even though the bell has gone off. And so the teacher tells her, run to class. But mimi, alinishika, unaonanga vile maskari wanashikanga makurutu tao. Saa zingine ni hapa longi inainuliwa ama ushikwe mkono hapa juu. Like si hapa chini kwa mkono, hapa juu. Ni kama unavutwa nje ingine, ni kama weni mtotukutu wa wapi. He held me like that, pulled me all the way from the dorm sides. Akanipeleka huku kwa nini tunatembea. Form 4s, dirisha zao zinaangalia side kwa hiyo walkway. They were looking at me, all of them asking themselves, like what? My head girl alikuwa kwa one of the form 4s, form 4 yellow, pia anaangalia. Like stripped tie. Unavutanisha hivyo, umetoka kufanya kazi, umetoka kufanya nini? Like umepatikana kama unalala, because now people started coming with their own ideas. Amepatikana dome kama ako dome, na saizi kifungu hata sina. Vifungu tulikuwa tuna hand over after cleaning asubuhi kwa boarding mistress, tunachukua after bell imering after preps. So nilikuwa nafanya nini dome? Nilikuwa nafanya nini dome section? So everybody is questioning, everybody anachungulia nje waangalie ni nini Mildred amefanya ndo navutwa hivyo. So tumetembea. Amenipeleka paka staff room, ameninilisha staff room. The whole form 4 block saw me being walked like this. Ni kama ile wanaitanga aje, sijui what, pap walk. Nimepelekwa staff room, kneel. Nimepiga magoti. He starts talking with the other teachers about their time in high school and the way they were with their prefects. Prefects walikuwa najiona hivi. Prefects walikuwa nadhania. Prefects. Alafu pia hawa wanajiona wako hivyo. Huyu nimempata huko. Amelazimisha. And I'm like, that's not what happened. I was trying to help her out. He didn't want to listen. Aini aliongea. And these teachers were talking about their own traumas from their life. And they're laying it all on me. And I'm like, nimewafanyia nini nyinyi wote? I'm a child. I don't know how old I was at that time. I think I was 17 because, I was in Form 4. Yeah. So I was in Form 4 and a lot of things were happening in my life as well. I didn't want to finish school. That's a story for another day. Like, kulikuwa tu na vitu mingi zilikuwa zinaendelea in my life. And so these teachers talking like this about me, in front of me, about accusing me for things that happened to them while they were in school. Hey. Na sio mnaambiwa ati mkiwa na shida mkiwa shule, you go to your teachers, you talk to them. Those teachers ndio ilikuwa niwaongeleshe. Another one, Madam Locho called me a thief while I was in Form 2. Nikamwambia wewe ndio mwizi. Kaniambia kneel staff room. Aliniita mwizi because tulikuwa tumeenda music festival and I had done the geography notes or assignment or whatever, and I hid my book and I told her I didn't find it after coming from music festival. So she was like, nyinyi ndio wale mnaibianga watu notes exams, si ndio? Wewe ndio wale wezi unaibianga watu. Kama mimi si mwizi. Wewe ni mwizi. Kama wewe ndio mwizi. She was like, staff room, kneel. Okay. My God. But this Mr. Otano, he traumatized me kidogo, and all the other teachers, the way they were jumping into the conversation. So they talk nasty, and then he beats me up. Alafu akinichapa, walimu wengine wanataka kufanya ile ujinga yenyewe, ati mwalimu mmoja anakuchapia staff room pia wanataka kukupiga. Otano alinipiga, huyo mwingine ndio kina kushika kiboko. I stood up. Cause I did nothing wrong to you. Huyu nitasema sawa, beli ilikuwa imeringa nikapatikana nje. Fine. But wewe hiyo kuongea about your trauma and putting it on me, you have done your part. I mean, no. Pia alinichapa hivyo nikasimama, nika clean nguo yangu, mikono, and then I walked out and they were looking at me like, msichana ni kichwa ngumu? Unamwona vile amefanya? So I remember he made me so afraid that even after finishing KCSE and I was clearing, because you have to go to every teacher and clear with them, I was afraid that he wouldn't clear me. I was afraid that he might say something or he might do something and he might refuse to clear me, because there are teachers who used to refuse to just clear you. So inabidi senye unakuja results zako ndo uanze kutafutana na walimu tena. But anyway, he didn't even remember me, because I gave him my form, akasign tu na nikatoka. He didn't it's like he didn't even remember that moment happened, but I'll carry it for the rest of my life. So anyway, I think I'm going to finish it there because I've recorded this for I think over an hour. This is going to be the longest I've ever recorded, so I think I better finish it there. But teachers, I don't know what was wrong with them. As I've said, I had some good teachers, but then kuna wale walikutraumatize tu for no reason. And I feel like if teachers would just do the job they were meant to do, instead of just punishing you and just putting nonsense in your head sometimes by trying to threaten you, I wish they would just be the hand that is supposed to lead you through the righteous path. As a teacher, you're supposed to teach me to do good. You're supposed to teach me to be right. You are supposed to be my counselor. And I feel like every teacher, I don't know if it happens or if it doesn't, but I feel like every teacher should be taught how to be a counselor, such that every school has an office that has a counselor. Because in high school, you had an office and there was a counselor in there, but singeenda kumwambia anything I was going through, because watu walikuwa na manage kuenda kuongelesha, ungetoka hivi unakutana na story yako ilidiscussiwa staff room. So unakutana na teacher mwingine ndo anakuambia wewe si ndo ulikuwa unafanya hivi, nyinyi wasichana wa siku hizi hata hamna adabu. Our principal, I think I was in form 3 at this time, there was a lady by the name Claire. Claire had lost her mom at a very young age, and so she was very close with her dad. One time during visiting day, Claire sees ameitwa akaone babake. So she comes from the classroom sides and she's running across the field, and then she goes and jumps on her dad, and the dad, I think, swings her around and stuff and then places her down. The principal was walking across the field as well from her house, which was at the end of the field. Anatembea anakuja towards huku kwa administration block. The principal sees this, she says nothing, but then anangojea on Monday saya parade. She stands in front of the whole school and she calls Claire at the front. So where's Claire so and so? And she raises her hand, come here. Anamsimamisha hapo mbele ya nini? Parade. Don't be like this girl. You have to understand that your father is for your mother. You are not allowed to jump on your father. And I'm like, what? I didn't have a dad. And by that time, I already knew the man that I grew up knowing that he was my father was not my father. So I already knew this. So I was looking at this and I'm like, what? He's her father. I remember Claire cried. Claire cried. Kwa hiyo parade, I cried the whole day, because what is that? And this is the principal, a woman, putting a young girl down because she dared to hug her father. Walimu, teachers, what was your problem? Totally, what was your problem? Si kuita watoto wezi, si kuchapa ma-prefects because of your own trauma, sio kutukana mtoto wa watu because amehug baba yake, sio kuongea about kitu mtoto amekuja amekwambia in confidence umeiongelea, sio kuleta issues zenyu pia za marital issues kwa class. Kuna teacher alikuwa ananukanga tu chuma wa math, mimi sikuwa namsikiza. Naki, I'm not afraid to say nilikuwa napata 0.8 yangu ama 10 at most, and I was contented with it. 0.2, 0.4, I didn't care about mathematics, I'm sorry, and I just didn't care about it. And that teacher, whenever he would teach us, alikuwa anapiga tu kelele pale mbele. Bora najua 1 + 1 = 2, I do not care about the rest. But, Si wale walimu tu watiaji. So entertainment ndio teacher wa mathematics anakuja kutufundisha. Ati tuko form 4, mali class yetu iko form 4 red, opposite ndo dining hall iko. Saya entertainment on Saturday usiku unakuja announcement imemekiwa dining hall. Form 4 red, your mathematics teacher ama teacher so and so Mr. Busolo is in class. He wants you to go. Mnatoka mkafundishwa mathematics. Huyo mwalimu akili yake inamwambia aje that hawa watoto wataconcentrate na directly opposite them entertainment inaendelea. Either there's a movie going on, watu wanawatch na zile za Naija by the way, ama ni mziki inaendelea inachezwa huko. Afu anakuja naambia na dining hall lower the music because watu wako in class. Then anatuambia sisi, whoever wants to come to class wacha akuje, mtu hataki asikuje. But tujue that akikuja on Monday tunaendelea na syllabus ama Sunday. Walimu. Mrs. Taka from home science room. Teacher home science alikuwa anachuna wasichana na biro kwa nipple. Like anashika the nipple with the biro pen and she pulls. Imagine tu mwanamke anatafutana na nipple yako achune na biro next to the biro pen. 1, that is sexual assault. 2, why? Walimu. The trauma you give pupils, like millennials, the way tulipitia, but it was just so unfair, some of the things they used to do. So anyway, as I said, I'm going to finish it. Let me finish it here because we are already way past the time limit that I usually schedule for these things. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Go to the comments section down below. Tell me your experience with your teachers. Text me on my Instagram, Mimi's Musings Podcast, and tell me your experience with your teachers in school, from primary school to high school. Who did you love? Who did you not love? And why? Just let's discuss it. Tell me. I want to know. While you're doing that, remember to like, share, and also subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications so that whenever I upload something new, you could be the first one to come and listen. And yeah, that will give me motivation to continue doing this thing. So yeah, please talk to me. Let me engage me, because I tell you listen and then you don't even give me likes. Come on. And then you don't even watch sometimes. Please don't just like and walk away. Subscribe. And if you know somebody who hasn't subscribed, can you please tell people? If you know me and you have subscribed, can you tell your mom, your dad, your sisters, your nini? Please help me to grow. Tell them to subscribe as well. And whenever they can come and listen and just give it a like, so that at least it can help me with the algorithm, okay? Bye-bye now. Love you.